Welcome to Kalank Igniting the Curious Mind. Human reproduction. As you are aware, humans are sexually reproducing viviparous. The reproductive event in human includes formation of gametes, gametogenesis, sperm in the males and ovum in the females, transfer of sperm into the female genital tract, insemination, the fusion of male and female gametes, fertilization, leading to formation of a zygote. It is followed by the formation and development of blastocysts, and it is attached to the uterine wall, implantation, embryonic development, gestation, delivery of the baby, parturition. You have learned that these reproductive events occur after puberty. There are remarkable differences between the reproductive event in the male and in the female. For example, sperm formation continues even in the old men, but formation of ovum ceases in the woman around the age of 50 years. Let us examine the male and female reproductive system in the humans. The male reproductive system. Male reproductive system is located in the pelvic region. It includes pair of testes along with the accessory ducts, glands, external genitalia. Testis is situated outside the abdominal cavity within the pouch of scrotum. The scrotum helps to maintain low temperature. Testis 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than normal internal body temperature necessary for the spermatogenesis. In adult, each testis is oval in shape with a length of about 4 to 5 cm, width about 2 to 3 cm. The testis is covered by a dense covering, and each testis is 250 compartment called as testicular lobules. Each lobules contain one of the three highly coiled seminiferous tubules in which sperms are produced. Each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by two types of cells, male germ cell, that is spermatogonia, Sertoli cells. The male germ cell undergo meiotic division, finally leading to the sperm formation, while the Sertoli cells provide nutrition to the germ cells. The region outside the seminiferous tubule is called interstitial space, contains small blood vessels, interstitial cells, or the Leydig cells. Leydig cells synthesize and secretes testicular hormones called as androgen. Other immunological components of the cells are also present. Male sex accessory duct called as reta testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, vasa deferens. The seminiferous tubules of testis open into vasa efferentia through reta testis. The vasa efferentia leaves the testis open into epididymis located along the posterior surface of the testis. Epididymis leads to the vasa deferens that ascends to the abdomen and loop over the urinary bladder. It receives a duct from the seminal vesicles open into urethra as an ejaculatory duct. These ducts stores and transports sperm from the testis to outside through the urethra. The urethra originates from the urinary bladder and extends to the penis and to external opening called urethral meatus. The penis is an external male genitalia. It's made up of special tissue which helps in erections in the penis to facilitate the insemination. Enlarged ends of the penis is gland penis covered by a loose folds of skin called foreskin. The male accessory glands include seminal vesicle, prostate, and a pair of bulbourethral gland. The secretion of these glands constitutes a seminal plasm, which is rich in fructose, calciums, and certain enzymes. The secretion of bulbourethral gland also helps in the lubrication of the penis. Thus, female reproductive system. Female reproductive system consists of pair of ovary along with the oviduct, uterus, cervix, and vagina, external genitalia located in the pelvic region. These parts of the system, along with a pair of mammary glands, are integrated structurally and functionally to support the process of ovulation, fertilization, pregnancy, birth, and child care. Ovaries are the primary sex organs that produces a female gametes, ovum, several steroid hormones, ovarian hormones. Ovaries are located on one side of the lower abdomen. Each ovary is 2 to 4 cm in length and connected by a pelvic wall and uterus by the ligament. Each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses ovarian stroma. Stroma is divided into two zones, peripheral cortex and inner medulla. Ovarian duct. Fallopian duct, uterus, vagina constitute the female accessory ducts. Each fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeter long, extend from periphery of each ovary to uterus. The parts closer to ovary is the funnel-shaped infundibulum. The edge of the infundibulum possesses finger-like projection called fimbriae, which helps in collection of ovum after ovulation. Infundibulum leads to a wider parts of the oviduct called as ampulla. The last parts of the oviduct is isthmus, has a narrow lumen and it joins the uterus. Uterus is single and is called womb, and shape of the uterus is like inverted pears. It's supported by a ligament attached to pelvic wall. The uterus opens into vagina to narrow cervix. The cavity of the cervix is called as cervical canals, which along with the vagina forms a birth canal. The wall of the uterus has three layer tissues. The inner is a perimetrium and thick smooth layer endomyometrium in the glandular layer cells called endometrium, and these lines the uterine cavity. The endometrium undergo a cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle, while the myometrium exhibits a strong contraction during delivery of the baby. The female genital external genitalia includes mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hilum, clitoris. The mons pubis is a cushion of fatty acids covered by a skin and pubic hair. The labia majora is a fleshy folds tissue which extends down the mopus pubis surrounding the vaginal opening. The labia minora are the pair folds of tissues under the labia majora. The opening of the vagina is only covered partially by a membrane called as hymen. The clitoris is a finger-like structure lie at the upper junction of the two labia minora and the uteral opening. The hymen is torn during the first coitus intercourse. It can be also broken by sudden fall or jolt or insertion of vaginal tampons and actively participation in some sort of horse riding, cycling, etc. In some women, hymens persist even after coitus. In the presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity or the sexual experiences. The functional mammalian gland is characterized by all the female mammals. The mammalian glands are paired by pair structure breast that contains a glandular tissues, variable amount of fats. The glandular tissue of each breast is divided into 12 to 15 to 20 mammalian lobules containing clusters of cells called alveoli. Cells of alveoli secretes milk which stores the cavities, lumens of the alveoli. Alveoli open into mammalian tubules. Tubules of each lobule joins to form mammalian duct. Several mammalian ducts join to form the wider mammalian ampulla, which is connected to the lactiferous duct and opens at the nipple, where the milk is expressed during the breastfeeding. Gametogenesis, a primary sex organ. Testis is the male and the ovaries in the female produce gametes, sperms and ovum respectively, but the process are called as gametogenesis. In testis, immature male germ cells, spermatogonia, produce sperms by spermatogenesis that begins at puberty. The spermatogonia that is present on the inside wall of the speminiferous tubule multiply mitotically and increase in number. Each spermatogonium is diploid, contain 46 chromosomes. Some of the spermatogonia, called as primary spermatocytes, reproduce periodically undergo meiosis. The primary spermatocytes comprises first meiotic division, reduction division, leading to formation of two equal haploid cells called secondary spermatocytes, which only has 23 chromosomes each. The secondary spermatocytes undergo second meiotic division to produce four equal haploid spermatids. What would be the number of chromosomes in the spermatid? The spermatids are transformed into a spermatozoa, sperm, by the process called as spermiogenesis. After spermiogenesis, sperm's head becomes embedded in the Sertoli cells and finally released from the seminiferous tubules by the process called as spermiation. The spermatogenesis starts at the age of puberty due to significant increase in the secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormone. This, if you recall, is a hypothalamic hormone. The increased level of gonadotropin hormones then act as anti-pituitary gland, stimulates secretion of 2 gonadotropin luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone. LH act as a Leydig cells, stimulates synthesis and secretion of androgen. Androgen in turn stimulates the process of spermatogenesis. FSH act on the Sertoli cells and stimulates the secretion of some factor which help in the process of spermiogenesis. Let us examine the structures of the sperm. It is microscopic in structure composed of head, neck, middle piece, and tail. The plasma membrane envelops the whole body of the sperm. The sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus, anterior portions of which is covered by cap-like structure, acrosome. The acrosome is filled with the enzyme that helps in fertilization of the ovum. The middle piece possesses numerous mitochondria which produce energy for the movement of tail and facilitate sperm motility essential for fertilization. The human sperm ejaculates 200 to 300 millions of sperm during the coitus, of which normal fertility at least 60% sperm must have normal shape and size. At least 40% of them must be vigorously motility. The sperm releases from the seminiferous tubules and transported by accessory duct, the secretion of epididymis, vasa deferens, seminal vesicle, and the prostates are essential for maturation's motility of the sperm. The seminal plasma, along with the sperm, constitutes the semen. The functions of the male sex accessory ducts glands are maintained by the testicular hormones androgen. The process of formation of mature female gametes, called as oogenesis, which is marked by the marked differently from the spermatogenesis. Oogenesis is initiated during the embryonic development stage when the couple of million gamete mother cell oogonia are formed within each other fetal ovary. No more oogonia are formed and added after birth. These cells starts divisions, enters into prophase 1 of the meiotic division and get temporarily arrested at the stage called primary oocytes. Each primary oocytes then gets surrounded by a large layer of granulosa cells and is called as primary follicles. A large number of follicles degenerates during the phases from birth to puberty. Therefore, at puberty, 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. The primary follicle gets surrounded by more layers of granulosa cells and few theca and secondary follicles. Secondary follicles soon transform into tertiary follicle, which is characterized by fluid-filled cavity called antrum. The theca layer is organized into inner theca, externa, theca, interna. The importance to draw the attention is that it is this stage that the primary oocytes within the tertiary follicles grow in size, completes its meiotic divisions, its unequal division resulting in the formation of large haploid secondary oocytes, a tiny polar body. The secondary oocytes remains bulk of a nutrient-rich cytoplasm of the primary oocytes. Can you think of any advantages for this? Does the primary first polar body born out of the first meiotic division further to or degenerate? At present, we are not very certain about this. The tertiary follicle change into mature follicles or Graafian follicles. Secondary oocytes forms a new members of zona pellucida surrounding it. The Graafian follicles now ruptures, releases the secondary oocytes ovum, from which ovary by the process of ovulation. Can you identify the major differences between the spermatogenesis oogenesis? The diagrammatic representation of oogenesis and spermatogenesis given below. Menstrual cycle. Reproductive cycle in female primates, monkey, apes, and human beings are called as menstrual cycles. The first menstruation begins at puberty and it's called as menarche. In human female, the menstruation repeats at an average of interval of 28 to 29 days. Cycle of events starts from one menstruation till the next one. It's called as menstrual cycle. One ovum is released during the middle each menstrual cycle. The major events of menstrual cycles are known cycles are shown. The cycle that starts with the menstrual phases, even the menstrual flow occurs. It lasts for 3 to 5 days. Menstrual flow results due to the outbreak of endometrium lining of the uterus and its blood vessels, which forms a liquid that comes out to the vagina. The menstrual occurs only if the released ovum is not fertilized. The lack of menstrual means indicative of pregnancy. However, it may be a cause due to some of the underlying causes like stress, poor health, etc. Menstrual cycle phase is followed by follicle phase. During this phase, primary follicles in the ovary grow to become fully mature. Graphical follicle stimulates simultaneously the endometrium of the uterus generates the proliferations. These changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by the changes in the level of the pituitary. Ovarian hormone, the secretions of the gonadotropin, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, increases gradually during follicular phases, stimulates follicular development as well as secretion of estrogen in the growing follicle. follicles. Both LH and FSH attain a peak level in the middle of the cycles. The rapid secretion of LH leads to its maximum level during the mid-cycle, called LH surge-induced rupture of Graafican follicles, thereby release of ovulations. The ovulation is also followed by the luteal phase, which remains a part of Graafian follicles, transforms as a corpus luteum. The corpus luteum secretes a large amounts of progesterone, which is essential for the maintenance of endometrium. Such endometrium is necessary for implantation of fertilized ovum and other events of pregnancy. During pregnancy, all the events of menstrual cycle stops and there is no menstruation. In the absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerates, causes disintegrations of the endometrium leading to menstruations, making the new cycle. In human being, menstrual cycle ceases about 50 years of age and is called as menopause. The cyclic menstruation is an indication of normal reproductive phase, extends between menarche and the menopause. The fertilization or implantation. During copulation, the semen is released by the penis into the vagina, insemination. The motile sperm swims rapidly, passes through cervix, enters the uterus and finally reaches the ampulla regions of the fallopian tubes. The ovum released by the ovary is also transported to ampulla region where fertilization takes place. Fertilization can occur if the ovum and the sperms are transported simultaneously to ampulla region. This is the reason why not only the copulation leads to fertilization and the pregnancy. The process of fusion of the sperm with the ovum is called as fertilization. During fertilization, sperms come in contact with the zona pellucida layer of the ovum and induce a change in the membrane that blocks the entry of addition of the sperm. This ensures that only one sperm can fertilize with the ovum, and the secretion of acrosomes helps the sperm enter the cytoplasm of the ovum through the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane that induce a complete meiotic division of the secondary oocytes. The secondary oocytes is also an equal and unequal, results in the formation of secondary polar body and a haploid ovum, ooted, and soon the haploid nucleus of the sperms of the ovum fuse to form the haploid zygotes. How many chromosomes will be there in the zygotes? One has to remember that the sex of a baby is decided by at this stage. Let us see how. Has a chromosome pattern in the human female is XX and the male is XY. All the haploid gametes ova reproduced by the female have X chromosomes, whereas the male gametes has sperm has X chromosome, that is either X or Y. So 50% of sperm carry X chromosome and 50% carry Y. After fusion, the male and female zygote would carry either XX or XY depending on whether the sperm carrying X or Y fertilize the ovum. The zygote carrying XX would develop into female baby, XY into male. You will learn more about the chromosome pattern in chapter 5. What is why? That is why scientifically it is incorrect. It is correct to say that sex of a baby is determined father, not the mother. The mitotic division starts by zygote formation. Zygote move through the isthmus of the oviduct called as cleavage towards the uterus and forms 2, 4, 8, 16 daughter cells called as blastomeres. Embryo with 8 to 16 blastomeres are called as morula. The morula continues to divide and transform into blastocyst as it moves further into the uterus. The blastomeres is the blastocysts are arranged into the outer layer called trophoblast. An inner group of cells attached to the trophoblast is inner cells mass. The trophoblast layer gets attachment to endometrium and the inner mass cells get differentiated to embryo. After attachment, the uterine cells divides rapidly, cover the blastocyst. As a result, blastocysts become embedded in the endometrium of the uterus. This is called as implantation, leading to pregnancy. The pregnancy and embryonic development. After implantation, finger-like projection appears on the trophoblast called chronicovilli, which is surrounded by a uterine tissue, the maternal blood. The chronicovilli and the uterine tissue become interdigested with each other and jointly form a structure and functional unit between developing embryo, fetus, and maternal body called placenta. The placenta facilitates the supply of oxygen, nutrients to the embryo and also removes the carbon dioxide, and excretory waste materials produced by the embryo. The placenta is connected to the embryo through the umbilical cord, which helps in the transport of substance to and from the embryo. Placenta acts as endocrine tissue, produces several hormones like human endocrine human gonadotrophin, human placental lactogen, estrogen, progesterone, etc. In the later phase of pregnancy, a hormone called relaxin is also secreted by the ovary. Let us remember HCG, HPL, and relaxin are produced in the woman during pregnancy. In addition, during pregnancy, the level of hormones estrogen, progesterone, cholesterol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. are increased several folds of a maternal blood. Increased production of these hormones is essential for support of fetal growth, the metabolic changes in the mother, and the maintenance pregnancy. Immediately after the implantation, inner cell mass differentiates into outer layer called endoderm, inner layer called ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm, and the ectoderm and endoderm appears between the ectoderm and endoderm. Three layers give rise to all the tissues, organs in the adults. It is indeed mentioned that here there is an inner cell mass contains a certain cells called as stem cells which have the potency to give rise to all the tissues and organs. What are the major features of embryonic development at various months of pregnancy? The human pregnancy lasts 9 months. Do you know how many months a pregnancy lasts in dogs, elephants, and cats? Find out. In human being, the 1 month of pregnancy, embryo heart is formed. This first sight of growing fetus may be noticed by listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. By the end of second month pregnancy, fetus develops limbs and digits. By the 12th week, first trimester, most of the major organ systems are formed. The limbs and the external genitalia organs are well developed. The first movement of fetus appear on the hair head and usually observed at the 5th month. By the end of the 24th week or the end of second trimester, body is covered by fine hair, eyelids separates, eyelashes are formed. By the end of 9 months of pregnancy, the fetus is fully developed and it's ready for delivery. The parturition or the lactation. Average duration of a human pregnancy 9 months, which is called gestation period. The vigorous contraction of uterus at the end of the pregnancy causes expulsion of the delivery of the fetus. The process is called of the delivery of the fetus or the childbirth is called as parturition. The parturition induces a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. Signal for parturition originates from the fully developed fetus placenta, which produces a mild uterine contraction. The fetal ejaculation relaxes, and this triggers released oxytocin, the material from the maternal pituitary. The oxytocin acts as a uterine muscles cause a strong uterine contraction which stimulates further secretion of oxytocin. The simultaneous stimulatory reflex between the uterine contractions and the oxytocin continues, resulting in a strong and stronger contraction. This leads to expulsion of baby out of the uterus through a birth canal parturition. Soon after the infant is delivered, the placenta is expelled out of uterus. What do you think of doctor eject to the induced delivery? The mammal glands of the female undergo differentiations during pregnancy, starts producing milk at the end of pregnancy with the process of lactations. This helps the mother to feed the newborn. The milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called as colostrum, which has several antibiotic absolute essential for the develop resistance to newborn babies. Breastfeeding during the initial periods of infant growth is recommended by doctor for bringing up a healthy baby. Summary: human is a sexually reproducing viviparous, and a male reproductive system composed of testes, a male accessory ducts, accessory glands, external genitalia. Each testis has 250 compartment called as testicular lobules, and each lobules contains 1 or 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubules. Each seminiferous tubule is lined by spermatogonia, Sertoli cells. Spermatogonia undergo meiotic division to form sperm formation, while Sertoli cells provide nutrition to developing germ cells. Laying cells outside the seminiferous tubule synthesize secretes testicular hormone called androgen. The male external genitalia is called as penis. The female reproductive consists of pair of ovary, pair of oviduct, uterus, vagina, external genitalia, a pair of mammary glands. The ovarian produces a female gametes, ovum, and some steroid hormones, ovarian hormones. Ovarian follicles in different stages of development are embedded in the stroma. The oviduct, uterus, and the vagina, female axillary ducts. The uterus has three layers, meaning the perimetrium, myometrium, endometrium. The female external genitalia includes mos pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen, and clitoris. The mammalian glands are one of the female secondary sexual characters. The spermatogenesis is a result of formation of sperm that are transported from male sex axillary duct. A normal human sperm is composed of head, neck, middle piece, tail. A process of formation of mature female gamete is called oogenesis. The reproductive cycle of female primates is called menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle starts only after attaining sexual maturation, puberty. During ovulation, only one ovum is released per menstrual cycle. The cyclic change of in the ovary uterus during menstrual cycle induced by the changes in the level of pituitary and ovarian hormones. After coitus, the sperms are transported in ampulla where the sperms fertilize the ovule, leading to formation of diploid zygotes. The presence of XY chromosome in the sperm determines the sex of the embryo. The zygote undergo repeated mitotic divisions to form blastocysts, which is implanted in the uterus, resulting pregnancy. After 9 months of pregnancy, the fully developed fetus is ready for the delivery. The process of childbirth is parturition, induced by the complex neuroendometrium mechanism involving cortisol, estrogen, and oxytocin. Mammalian gland differentiate during pregnancy, secretes a milk culture after childbirth. A newborn baby is fed milk by the mother. Lactation during the initial few months of the growth. You are watching to Kalank, igniting the